Good afternoon, Your Honor. This is the case of the people of the State of Michigan versus Robin Root, file 15-04835FC. The purpose of today's hearing is for sentencing in this matter. The people have reviewed the pre-sentence report. We have no additions or corrections to make. However, we do have two of Janet Kelly's family members who wish to speak here today. We have Jennifer Stanton, who is Janet's niece, and Wyatt Neal, who is Janet's brother.
All right, I will hear from them first.
Please stand.
Thank you.
Here. Throw that over here. Just stand on it.
All right, you understand?
Yes.
And Mr. Neal, go ahead, please.
Okay. We already heard your version of how December 4th went and the following days, but it's time for you to hear how our story goes. Hearing of a loved one missing is something you see in movies or in bad dreams. All we could think of was a carjacking, a car accident. My Aunt Janet was very organized, put together, to her routine. There was no way she was okay. The day of December 6th was the day that no one should ever have to go through. We had to put ourselves in the mind of a killer. We knew something was wrong. We had to find her. To have to put yourself into a place to where you have to call the trash removal companies and tell them not to empty their dumpsters. To go to the cemeteries and lift off the top of the empty burial spots where they were pre-dug for the winter. Looking at ditches and waters in the woods. We searched for hours and days and not being able to feel our fingers or feet. Mentally drained from wondering if we were a killer, where would you hide a body? Again, not a place anyone should have to think about. All this time, you placed her purse and car close to home to keep the search away from where you really left her body to rot. So many cold, snowy days and nights go by. I remember seeing the snow fall and crying because I knew she was out in the elements and she was cold. We had candlelight visuals, search parties, and begged for help from the media. This whole time, you were just a little over 100 feet away in your warm home, probably watching us suffer. Christmas comes. It was her favorite holiday. Of course, we stuck together as a family, but there were no gifts. There were no celebrating. But I'm sure that is not the same for you and your family. I kept asking myself, you said it was an accident. How, when was it an accident, Robin? You never called for help, but instead, you degraded my aunt and tortured her remains. We couldn't even have an open casket because you set her on fire and left her to the animals and the elements. I'm sure watching us beg and plead to the news for answers. In your confession, you said, what took so long? As far as I'm concerned, you got 8 years of freedom to enjoy your family. You got to see births of family members. You got to see marriages and graduations and see the light of day. You took that all away from my Aunt Jana. She was missed. She missed her own daughter's wedding, many births in the family, and so much more. Your family can still see you, hear your voice. We don't get that because of your actions. For 8 years, we begged for answers, and you did nothing. My family has the biggest heart, but we still struggle for the ability to forgive you. I hope there will be a time when you can give Dana the truth of what really did happen and give her peace. You owe her that.
First, our family wants to thank Judge Booth for his legal guidance throughout the trial, Prosecutor Fisher for his presentation of the facts, Detectives Reaper, Brace, and DeVries for their pursuit of justice for Jana. We also want to thank the jury for their judgment and ability to see the truth. We've waited 8 years for this. We had a little closure in March of 2008 when they found Jana's body. I was thoroughly convinced that I would die without ever knowing what happened to Jana. Now, 8 years later, we're coming to another phase of closure. Robin, your killing of Jana, the mutilation of her body, and stripping her of any dignity in death are unforgivable sins. During the interviews with the detectives and throughout the trial, you displayed a total lack of emotion, compassion, regret. As far as we could tell, you had spent the last 8 years since the murder carrying on your life as normal, boyfriends, having grandchildren, raising your children, all with a total lack of conscience on your part. I've read that evil has no conscience. Taking into consideration your actions, I would say, ergo, evil with no conscience. Our judicial system ensures that you will spend the rest of your life in confinement. You will miss seeing your children grow older, your grandchildren will grow up and marry, and all of the joys that life can offer you will miss. You took these away from Jana, and now you will pay the price. Based on actuaries of life insurance companies, you could spend approximately 10,000 days in jail. A lifetime of darkness, joyless, and lonely days. Our forgiveness of you is not relevant. Your final judgment will be made by someone much higher than us. Judge.
Your Honor, the pre-sentence report was furnished to our office in a timely manner. We immediately made it available to Ms. Root at the jail, reviewed it with her. We did not file any objections or corrections. We believe it's basically accurate, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Root, you've read the pre-sentence report?
Yes.
Do you have any questions, comments, objections regarding the contents or the accuracy of the report?
No.
Mr. Fisher, anything further from the prosecution?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Mr. Dodge, and for the record, before you speak, Mr. Dodge, I have a number of letters on behalf of the victim and on behalf of the defendant, which I will make part of the court.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Your Honor, at the outset, on behalf of my client, Robin Root, and her family members, we would like to and should apologize to the family and the friends and the loved ones of Jana Kelly. During the course of the preparation of the case, Mr. Fisher furnished to our office a total of 72 CDs, many of which were police interviews done during last fall when the cold case team first initiated the investigation of siblings and close family members. And the emotion was very heartfelt, and my client was made aware of how heartfelt and how much of a loss has been sustained here by the family and the supporters of Jana Kelly. Because of the adversary process, as the court well understands and the prosecutor, but sometimes families mistake the lack of contact during the pendency of the case as a lack of sympathy or a lack of understanding the loss on the part of the decedent's family. As Your Honor and the prosecutor both know, the reasons for the lack of contact is that it might be mistaken as an effort to soften or influence the family members who have suffered the loss. But throughout our representation in the case, which goes back to the first week after Ms. Root's arrest back on April 27th, she has expressed and her family has expressed, please let their family know how sorry we are for their loss and how much sympathy that Robin Root and her family have for Jana Kelly's family. And this is the time for us to be able to express that for the first time. This is a family of conscience, and they know how much of a loss has been suffered, and they hope that Jana Kelly's family and supporters will accept that apology. Your Honor, furnished to the court and to the prosecutor were several support letters that confirm the continuing love and support that Robin Root has of her family members and many others. I would ask the court if those letters could be part of the pre-sentence investigation report that will accompany her to the Huron Valley facility in the hope that they'll be factored in on the risk classification, evidencing the substantial family support that she continues to enjoy. Lastly, Your Honor, because of the anticipated appeal in this matter, and the issues are all a matter of record, there will be no surprises to the prosecutor on the appeal. The court allowed us fair hearing on the several issues, and we do anticipate filing a timely claim of appeal, since one of those issues will be the admissibility of the April 27th statements. I've advised Ms. Root, and she'll confirm this when the court provides her right of allocution, to not make any further statements at this time. With that, Your Honor, I believe the court's fully advised. Since the sentencing is mandatory, we don't have anything further to add at this time. Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Let me ask you, Mr. Fisher, is there any restitution here for the family?
Your Honor, none that I'm aware of, none has been claimed.
For the record, I would reserve that though in case there is.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Root, anything further you'd like to say before I close the sentence?
No, Your Honor.
The record should reflect that I have read the report. Obviously, Ms. Root has presided over this trial. I've received many letters on behalf of the victim here. I've received many letters on your behalf. Taking them at face value, what we did here certainly out of character. However, the facts don't lie. Clearly, what happened here justifies the first-degree murder conviction. I think most people reacted in the same way I did when I first heard about this. Why not call 911 when this thing first occurred? Let's call it an accident in the victim's house. If it was an accident, even if it was an intentional act, you could have saved her life then or at a number of points in time that day or that evening. But again, the facts are there. Guilty of first-degree murder. Certainly the right verdict. The court has no discretion here, as you know. So it's a sentence of this court, Ms. Root, that you be committed to the Michigan Department of Corrections for a term of life without parole. That sentence will commence April 27th of this year. Further, I'll advise you, you have an absolute right to appeal, an appeal of right. We'll furnish you with the necessary paperwork, and it sounds like you and Mr. Dodge already discussed. That's it for now.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Thank you.